In the modern circus of the internet, the line between entertainer and spectator is thinner than ever. Fame used to be reserved for those who survived Hollywood's velvet gauntlet. Now it's whoever can hold the webcam steady and talk for 8 hours straight without blinking. And in that digital madhouse, few have mined more success out of chaos than Asmongold, the man who turned a sitting in a cluttered room into an empire. He's part philosopher, part gamer, part internet uncle yelling about patch notes. This is a story of how a kid from Austin, Texas went from farming mobs in World of Warcraft to farming an entire creator economy, and how he accidentally became a case study in what happens when authenticity becomes a brand. Before Asmongold became the face of Twitch's Goblin Mode, he was just Zack, a quiet kid obsessed with World of Warcraft. He started playing in 2006, long before streaming was even a concept. His early videos weren't flashy, just tutorials, boss guides, and random clips that looked like they were recorded on a toaster. See, back then, he wasn't chasing fame or money, he was chasing loot drops. The idea that people would one day watch someone else play a game for hours wasn't mainstream yet. It was the kind of thing your parents would assume required medical attention. But Asmon had that intangible quality, the ability to make boredom entertaining. He'd explain in-game mechanics, roast bad players, and slip in one-liners that felt like he wasn't trying to be funny, just brutally honest. That's the Asmongold DNA. He's not a performer. He's a guy who never left the Discord call. In 2011, Zack started streaming under the now famous name Asmongold. At first, it was a few hundred viewers, mostly WoW diehards, who appreciated his encyclopedic knowledge and gremlin charm. But when World of Warcraft Classic launched in 2019, everything changed. Nostalgia hit the internet like a truck full of Mountain Dew, and Asmon was right there behind the wheel. His live streams of WoW Classic drew tens of thousands of viewers, all watching him lose his mind over pixelated boars. For millions, he became the face of World of Warcraft. His genuine excitement and no-filter commentary gave people something, a rare connection. He didn't act like a brand ambassador. He acted like the dude you'd meet at 3 a.m. farming dungeons and venting about life. He wasn't clean, polished, or rehearsed. He was real. And in the sanitized jungle of the influencer culture, real was refreshing. Asmon's fan base ballooned. He started pulling millions of views across Twitch and YouTube, but here's the catch. He didn't really change his formula. Still in his messy room, still eating fast food midstream, still talking about the game design like a man explaining the stock market during a breakdown. When most creators get big, they start hiring teams, building brands, and pretending they're too busy to breathe. But Asmon? He doubled down on his cave goblin aesthetic and said, yeah, this is working. But behind the scenes, the business side evolved fast. He co-founded OTK, One True King, in 2020 alongside Miskiff, S-Fan, Tips, and Rich Campbell. OTK wasn't an esports team. It wasn't even a company in a traditional sense, but it was a bunch of streamers deciding to monetize friendship. Their early content was scuffed, chaotic, wildly entertaining, thinking Jackass meets Twitch plays Pokemon. You tuned in and felt like you were watching friends hanging out, and it worked. Sponsors started calling. Coinbase, Razer, Intel, all lined up to slap logos on the chaos. Within months, OTK went from a living room experiment to $1 million machine. And here's the rub. The more corporate it became, the less it felt like OTK. Fans noticed. The chaos that made it magic got buried under polished lighting and sponsorship decks. It's the paradox of every creator group. The second you start managing it like a business, it stops being fun. By 2022, OTK had gone full professional mode. Fancy events, brand deals, corporate partnerships, and all of it. But the house of cards started to wobble. First came Miss Gift's scandal, involving allegations that he downplayed a sexual assault incident. He was suspended, sponsors ran, and Twitter did what Twitter does, explode. When Rich Campbell got hit with the SA accusation of his own, leading to an immediate resignation, within months, the words OTK and controversy were permanently fused in Google's search algorithm. And just when you thought the group had seen it all, Asmongold himself imploded on a stream. In late 2024, he delivered a rant about Israel-Palestine conflict. That was so aggressively tone-deaf, it practically speed-ran his suspension. He called Palestinian culture inferior and dismissed civilian casualties with, quote, "I don't care." So Twitch didn't hesitate. Suspension. Sponsors bailed. OTK fractured. Even his co-founders publicly distanced themselves. That wasn't just a bad take. It was a career-level critical hit. To his credit, Asmon apologized. He said he'd lost himself in cynicism, that he'd become mean-spirited and disconnected. And he wasn't wrong. Years of the internet fame can rot your empathy faster than a Reddit thread. But the damage was done. Let's address the elephant in the room. The cluttered room, that is. Asmongold is often seen as lazy. His background looks like a doomsday prepper's garage. He's openly admitted to not showering for over a month. He eats expired snacks. He reacts to other people's videos more than he creates his own. And yet, he's a millionaire. Welcome to the React economy, where the less you do, the more you earn. Asmon's entire brand evolved from grinding in WoW to grinding YouTube algorithms. His Asmongold TV channel mostly re-uploads of stream clips and reactions, pulls hundreds of millions of views a year. The content is simple. Watch a video, pause occasionally, drop a sarcastic comment, and let the chat fill the rest. Critics call it lazy. Asmon calls it efficient. He's not wrong. Reacting to content means he can stream longer, avoid burnout, and still dominate watch time. It's the ultimate example of work smarter, not harder. Some might say it's unfair that creators like him profit off the work of smaller channels, but the system rewards engagement, not effort. If attention is the currency of the internet, Asmongold is basically the Federal Reserve. And yes, he admits it's easy. That's part of the charm. There's something perversely honest about a guy making six figures a month. Yeah, it's lazy, but it works. In 2025, Asmongold took another unexpected turn. He began multi-streaming simultaneously, broadcasting on Twitch, Kick, and X, formerly Twitter. He called it the future of streaming. And honestly, he might be right. A few years, Twitch held creators hostage for exclusivity contracts. If you streamed on Twitch, you couldn't touch another platform. But Asmon said, no, fuck that. He'd rather diversify his risk than live under the platform's thumb. And it's not just about rebellion, it's business. Kick offered better revenue splits, up to 95% of sub income versus Twitch's 50%. And by streaming across platforms, Asmon ensured that if one banned him, his audience wouldn't vanish overnight. He even held private discussions with Elon Musk, giving feedback on X's streaming tools, effectively becoming an unpaid consultant for a billionaire who renamed a website after a letter. That move turned him from just a streamer into a symbol of creator independence. He's proof that when your audience loyalty is strong enough, You hold the power, not the platform. Meanwhile, OTK wasn't faring so well. The scandals left scars, sponsors fled, creators stopped showing up. Eternal staff described the company as a group project where everyone gets an A, even if half the team doesn't show up. The passion was gone. What started as a friendship turned into a chore. By the early 2025, layoffs hit. The once bustling content house looked more like a ghost town. Co-founders like Asmongold and Mizkid pulled back, and OTK's big budget events slowed to trickle. But the group didn't die, it adapted. They scaled down, went back to simpler streams, and tried to reconnect with what made them popular in the first place: raw, messy human chaos. In a way, OTK's implosion mirrored Twitch's larger identity crisis. The platform that thrived on authenticity got swallowed by corporate polish. When everything's optimized for sponsors, nothing feels real anymore. The philosophy of Asmongold. For all his controversies, the questionable hygiene routines, Asmongold has an uncanny grasp of the internet culture. He talks about fame like someone who never wanted it but couldn't turn it off. He's one of the few streamers who openly discusses burnout, parasocial relationships, and the illusion of success online. His streams sometimes feel like entertainment and more like therapy sessions for the chronically online. He once said, "If you want to be a streamer, imagine you're in a glass box for 8 hours a day and the internet's poking you with sticks." He's not wrong. Asmongold represents the paradox of the digital age. A guy who built his career on being real in an industry built on pretending. And maybe that's why people love him. Because whether he's right or wrong, clean or covered in pizza crumbs, he's consistent. As of now, Asmongold is on the indefinite hiatus, stepping away to care for his father. His rare, quiet chapter in a career defined by noise. What happens next is anyone's guess. Maybe he doubles down on controversy, and maybe he comes back wiser and calmer. But one thing's certain, his legacy is locked in. He's proven you don't need a mansion or a PR team to dominate the internet. You just need authenticity, timing, and a mountain of questionable snacks. In a world where fame feels fake, Asmongold's chaos feels honest. And whether you see him as a genuine genius or gremlin, he's a mirror reflecting the creator economy's best and worst qualities. At the end of the day, Asmongold didn't stream games. He streamed an entire era of internet culture, from humble beginnings to a corporate collapse of authenticity. He showed how far being yourself can take you, and how dangerous it can be when yourself becomes a brand. So yeah, call him lazy, call him controversial, call him whatever you want. But remember, while everyone else is grinding for XP, Asmon figured out how to farm the algorithm himself. He didn't just play the game, he beat it. And then he probably went to bed at 3 p.m. surrounded by empty cans of Dr. Pepper. Now, Asmongold's father passed away. Rest in peace, Asmongold's dad. You raised a good man with a good head on his shoulders. And for that, we thank you. My name is Live781 Red Rum. Peace, I'm out.